Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be working on extracting animations and flow. Welcome to this deep dive into motion and flow. Start by opening the homepage of neverland.agency if you want to follow along. If you're already there, refresh your page so everything loads from the start. As it reloads, watch carefully what happens. Notice the pink screen with a set of arches in the center. Within those arches, you'll see stacked objects like blue cylinders, teal blocks, and playful shapes. Those aren't static. Pause and watch how the camera seems to slowly drift forward while scrolling toward the center. This isn't a sudden jump. It's a smooth, deliberate zoom. Notice the soft way the elements in the arch appear to float and the shadows gently adjust. Now, Welcome to Neverland fades out on the right. It didn't just pop. There's a slight delay between the zoom through the arches and the disappearance of the text. That delay gives your eyes time to focus. Now, redo it again and rewatch the moment, just so you can appreciate the timing. First, you see the headline, then you see the arches, and you can see it fade in and out. Right? Now refresh it again and watch how the sub-headline shows up underneath. Timing like this is what makes a site feel polished. Now, before you scroll through, refresh once more and pay attention to the exact sequence on load. Everything fades in. A logo appeared at the top as a simple white mark, and then the headline fades in. Each of those is just a simple fade or slide. There's nothing complicated there. But when you space it out with a beat between them, it becomes and creates anticipation. This is called intentional motion. It sets the tone for the whole website. Now let's move forward. It's time to scroll. But do it slowly again. As you start to move down, watch how the arches start to expand. You're not just moving past a static placed header. It feels like you're moving through a space. The arches scale down and the camera glides forward, right? Pause halfway through that motion. See how the inner scene of blue and teal shapes in the background becomes larger while the frame of the arch moves off of the screen. You're witnessing a basic scale transform combined with a vertical scroll. It's executed smoothly, giving the impression of depth. The scroll instructs the motion, right? When I'm scrolling on my keypad or on my mouse, it instructs the motion. The animation responds to your input. Continue scrolling a little bit more until the scene comes closer and it fills the screen. There's a slight deceleration as you approach the objects, like easing into position. Look at the right side of the screen where the scroll to discover is. Didn't mean to click that. Notice how it stays anchored, right? It doesn't jitter. It slides up and then it fades out, right? Once the job is done. Each element has a defined entrance and exit. Now, after you reach the end of the arch sequence, you'll notice the background color here shift from a flat pink to a gradient to portray shadow, right? Don't rush past this change. Now scroll back and forth, right? And you'll see the shadow shifting. This change isn't an abrupt switch. The shadow gradually fades as if it's a truly sitting 3D animation. This is a simple color fade, but it connects two very different sections entirely smoothly, right? It's an example of flow, how the end of one scene eases into the next. If the color just snapped, it would feel jarring. The slow fade keeps the mood consistent. Now, keep scrolling slowly, and then you'll have a large blue ring start to rise from the bottom. At first, you see just the top edge peeking out. Then it slides up until it sits in the center. Watch the timing. The ring's motion is a smooth upward slide with a bit of overshoot. Right behind it, huge serif type appears that reads, "The Everlasting Creative Experience Agency." Notice that the text there doesn't come in all at once. The first few words appear, of course, then the next part follows a beat later. The blue ring is actually masking the text as it moves. Play this part again. You'll see how the ring leads the motion and the typography follows. It's a simple stacked sequence. Now, slide up, then reveal, right? Without complex code, it feels like theater. It looks like something is popping out at you, and it's entirely intentional. Now, stop and scroll back upwards for a second, just a bit. As you do, the blue ring retreats and the text fades back. Notice how the blue ring scrolls faster than the text, giving it that depth perception. The animations are reversible. That's important. When motion is tied to scroll position, it should behave predictably in both directions. Here, reversing your scroll reverses the motion. That consistency there helps you understand where you are in the narrative. Now continue down into an everlasting story section. The big headline explaining when the agency was founded appears in huge type. It doesn't slam onto the page. Each line there flows in with a slight delay. The first line slides down, then the next line follows. There's about a quarter second, depending on your scroll speed, between them. That staggered timing keeps you reading. Pause after each line appears and notice how the gray color, see that, of the trailing lines is lighter than the black of the active line. This change in tone guides your attention. Again, it's very simple. Slide down and fade from gray to black. Repeated for each line. It feels sophisticated because of the pacing. Now, scroll slowly as the long paragraph fills the screen. Notice the interplay of weight. The first few words of the sentence are in black, then they transform to gray as new text appears. This subtle shift directs your eyes. There's no fancy 3D here, just color and timing. The motion is completely invisible, yet it keeps you engaged. That's intentional design. Now, as you continue, the giant text dissolves and a new line of copy enters, right? We are a fast growing crew of creatives, designers, strategists, producers, copywriters, and developers. Each clause arrives with a tiny delay. You can count 1, 2 between them. Now, try scrolling back and forth over this part. You'll see, again, the words slide in and slide out in perfect order. This teaches you how to pace your own sequences. Don't reveal everything at once. Use delays to create rhythm. And then scroll down a little bit, and on the side, you'll see a label that enters our expertise. Keep an eye on the sidebar and watch as it transforms as you move deeper into the page. It begins on the left and then moves to the lower left as the next heading appears. It's a small move, maybe 20 pixels, but it aligns with the section's heading below. Motion doesn't necessarily have to be dramatic. Tiny shifts can orient you. You're at the expertise list, identity and positioning, brand innovation strategy, and brand messaging, guidelines and systems, visual language, and art direction. All these items came in one after another. They're separated by a fraction of a line. Pause after each one appears. Notice how the text slides up slightly and becomes fully visible one after the other. Without coming in all at once, this helps the viewer maintain focus on one at a time. Now scroll back up a little bit and notice how the background from this section turns from a beige off-white into the white. And then it stays for a second, right? And you can see it lock into the top here, right? That staggered fading is the pattern repeated across the site. Recognize that pattern. It's basically a series of simple transitions timed out evenly down the page. Repetition like this, subtly and unnoticeable, ties the experience together. Scroll forward to the next expertise section. You'll see a number 02, and the label experimental design. Beneath it, 4 items appear: spatial design, e-commerce and websites, digital product and services, prototyping and optimization. They came in at the exact same way as the previous list. Slide up one at a time, spaced evenly, not everything at once. Because this pattern is consistent, your brain knows what to expect. That's part of the flow of this website. Not just connecting sections, but connecting animations across the entire site. Consistency and patterns build familiarity. Now, as you progress to section 3, the content creation, the same structure continues. Watch each line come in at the exact same speed, not too cluttered, evenly spaced out, and in exact order as the previous 2 sections. The site's designers haven't overloaded the page with complex transforms. They've repeated simple slides and fades with simple variations in timing. This is a valuable lesson. You don't need fancy animations to create an engaging experience. Consistency and timing make simple motions feel premium. Now, between the lists, you'll notice a blurred shape hovering near the right side. When you scroll past, that blurred form changes size and position, and the balls are moving around it the entire time. It's very subtle, it doesn't distract from the content, but it adds that level of depth. Try hovering your mouse over that blur. Nothing happens, right? Nothing happens because it's not interactive. It's purely atmospheric. This shows how even non-interactive motion can contribute to the mood. Keep scrolling until you've reached the section that showcases brands that they've worked for. The logos float horizontally. Pay attention to the sequence. The logo first appears, then the next slides in with a slight overlap, then the next, and the delays are minimal. Maybe like 0.2 of a second on the scroll. Pause and replay, go back up, right? You'll see how each logo comes in, not all at once, not too cluttered, the exact same style that we've seen this come in. This allows you to focus on one at a time with equal spacing, and even though there's so many here, it doesn't overload your view or your cognitive system because they're so equally spaced out and they have a lot of white space around them, right? That adds liveliness. It's still just a slide and scale with easing, but when repeated across multiple sections, it feels lively, not chaotic. Now let's scroll a little bit down to the let's fly. Right here, let's fly, call to action. The text appears with a gentle rise. See? When it switches from brands we worked for, on the left side here, to the let's fly, it's gentle, it fades in slightly. Then as you near the end of the page, you'll see contact information fade in, right? Right there. The team has even animated the location text. Each line of the address appears with a staggered delay, matching the pacing that we found throughout the page. This small detail maintains continuity to the last section. Nothing is left to chance. Refresh the page and rewatch the sequence from the start to the finish. This time, focus on the rhythm. Count the seconds between the animations, and you'll see that most delays are consistent. About 1/4 to half a second between the items. Those consistent intervals are what keep the site and make sure it has a smooth flow. Imagine if everything moved at random speeds. It would feel chaotic, clustered, unorganized. Instead, everything is choreographed. Try scrolling a bit more quickly. Watch how the animations keep up with you. They aren't tied to timers, they're tied exactly to the scroll position. This allows the user to control the pace. That's a technique that you can replicate. Use scroll-linked animation libraries, which I will help you in the next chapters, to sync motion to scroll. It's called motion to scroll. Scroll-based animations. But remember to keep it very simple. The designers here used basic transforms, like translating an element up or down, scaling it, or fading it. They combined those with easing curves and consistent delays throughout the website. The result looks very high-end because of intention, not complexity. As you finish exploring, Take a moment to reflect on the patterns that you saw today. Elements faded in or slid up. Lists appeared with slight delays. Colors cross-faded between sections. Large shapes like the blue ring signaled transitions. And side labels over here, like Everlasting Story here, shifted into position. Interactions like hover effects were minimal and restrained. All of this contributed to a premium feel, and none of it required complex coding. It was about sequencing simple animations and connecting them smoothly. Remember the key takeaways for today. Motion is not random decoration. It guides the eye and supports the story. Timing creates the premium feel. Delays and staggered sequences make simple animations feel elegant. Flow connects sections through consistent patterns and soft transitions. By observing and breaking down each movement throughout the website, you can replicate the feel of a high-end site using very simple techniques. Next time you build a page, think about how elements enter and exit, how fast they move, and how they relate to each other. Slow down, observe, and design with intention. That's all for this lesson. I'll see you on the next.